CoCrystal are a clinical stage biotechnology company developing safe antiviral treatments. It states here we employ Nobel Prize-winning expertise to create first and best-in-class antiviral drugs. We are quickly and efficiently advancing multiple programs with clinical development underway for influenza, norovirus and coronaviruses. And so this Nobel Prize-winning expertise, which you can see here, comes from Roger Kornberg, PhD, who is the chairman of the board, chief scientist and chairman of Scientific Advisory Board. In 2006, Dr. Kornberg was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in recognition for his studies of molecular basis of eukaryotic transcription, the process by which DNA is copied to RNA. Dr. Kornberg is also the recipient of several awards, including the 2001 Welsh Prize, the highest award granted in the field of chemistry in the United States, and the 2002 Leopold Mayer Prize, the highest award granted in the field of biomedical sciences from the French Academy of Sciences. While his Nobel Prize-winning research isn't directly used to make antivirals, his expertise is very much there to guide CoCrystal in the development of their pipeline, helping them develop antiviral treatments like CDI 988 and CC 42344, the two treatments in CoCrystal's development pipeline, which you can see right here. And so right now you can see that CoCrystal are trading at near an all-time low, and this is when I make entries into these kinds of stocks. Very difficult to get to the absolute bottom of these kinds of stocks. But one of the strategies that I employ is that once I've done the research and I've identified a strong management and a strong team, is to get aggressive in my investing and to cost average down in times of pessimism, like with CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals right now. Effectively, I'm applying Warren Buffett's philosophy of being greedy when others are fearful. And this is exactly what I've been doing with CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals over the last few weeks. So for example, I might make a large entry at $1.25, let's just say for around 2,000 shares. It may then go down to $1.14, so I might buy a further 3,000 shares, for example. And then it continues to decline to something like $1.03, where I'd buy a further 2,500 shares. And so in doing this, I'm bringing my mean overall cost of the price of shares down. And so the pessimism with this stock has come due to the recent dilution. CoCrystal Pharma announces closing of up to $13 million registered direct offering, priced at the market under NASDAQ rules. And so what CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals have done is they've issued more shares to the market. And as a result, current shareholders who were holding stock have been diluted. And it's perceived that this kind of devalues the shares that those existing shareholders are holding. And as a result, many shareholders will sell their stock because they perceive this as a problematic situation. You know, CoCrystal in this case needed more money, and they've raised this money, this capital, by issuing more shares to the market. And this, again, like I was saying, is that investors become a little bit fearful that they're short of cash, that there are problems with the company. Whereas the way that I look at this is that they're raising this money in order to advance this pipeline right here, where they're developing potentially new innovative treatments that are addressing an unmet need in the market. And so like I was saying, this dilution has helped them to raise cash, raise money in order to further advance the developments in the pipeline. You can see their pipeline right here is an outline of the treatments that they're developing at the moment. And when they get to phase 3, this is when they can apply for a BLA with the FDA. And this is the process that they need to go through in order to get their first commercially viable product, which they can then take to market and sell to customers or sell to patients. This is really significant because if a company like CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals do get this FDA approval for their first treatment, they then transition from an early stage biotech company with no products, no treatments available to sell to patients, to a company that has a commercially viable product which has been approved, which they can then go out and sell. And it's typically once they've launched this product and they've demonstrated a level of proof of concept for the treatment, so they've proved that the treatment actually sells, that they become potentially a target for an acquisition. And this is how Phillip Frost, the majority shareholder of CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals, he holds 10%, has amassed this wealth. You know, it's through starting companies from scratch or acquiring other companies and then creating or launching blockbuster treatments. And then once his company becomes a target of an acquisition, he cashes in, which is why I have this primary philosophy of identifying billionaires with a proven track record of the past, who have, you know, they're industry veterans, if you like, with decades and decades of experience. And I'm looking at their past behavior. I've seen that they've done this, you know, once, twice, maybe even 3 times in some cases. And I'm hedging my bets with those individuals because of this past behavior, because of this proven track record. One of the critical things to note with these biotech stocks is they're incredibly volatile. As you can see, the prices can take massive swings, and you can see right here it's taken a massive swing from $3 and around $2 to where we are right now, where it's floating at just above $1 at the moment. And these huge swings have everything to do with their pipeline and the development of these treatments. It's when they announce positive results in one of the clinical trials that they're undertaking for one of the treatments in their pipeline that you'll see these huge swings take place in the stock price. And it's because when they launch these positive results that they are getting one step closer to potentially launching a blockbuster treatment. The biggest near-term catalyst is the phase 1b human challenge study for their lead treatment, CDI-988, the first potential oral antiviral for norovirus. With the phase 1b study expected to begin before year end of 2025, it could become the first ever oral antiviral treatment for norovirus, which doesn't actually have any treatments available on the market, which is where there's this kind of huge potential or huge opportunity. At the same time, we're at kind of quite early stages with this, and anticipating results from this trial in the first half of 2026, which is potentially one of these major catalysts. If the results are positive, we're going to expect a huge surge in the share price. The other near-term catalyst expected is the phase 2A data readout for CC42344, the influenza A, which you can see right here. The phase 2A data readout is significant simply because the drug they're developing targets influenza strains that are actually currently resistant to existing antivirals like Influenza and Tamiflu. And so effectively what they're doing here is they're addressing a new market. There's a new market opportunity with patients that are actually resistant to these current treatments, which is where there's a huge market opportunity for CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals to come in if the results are positive and if they can get through all these stages, submit their BLA and get the treatment approved. In a typical year, there are an estimated 1 billion cases of flu and up to 650,000 flu-related deaths globally. Beyond the human costs, seasonal influenza costs the United States over $10.4 billion in direct medical costs and $87 billion in total economic burden every year. With resistance rising and limited effectiveness of the current treatments available on the market, CC42344 could fill this major gap in this global fight against flu. And so in summary, the two major catalysts for this stock are CC42344 influenza A, which you can see right here, and CDI-988 for norovirus. First catalyst should come at the end of 2025. It's just a small one, just announcing the start of this phase 1AB human study. And then I anticipate data readouts or results from this in the first half of 2026 as well. Both of these catalysts could trigger a significant share price rise in the first half of 2026. I expect, considering the share price right now, that the share price could double, could get to 250, could get to 280, could even get to $3 on positive news in these studies. And naturally, I'll keep you updated on CoCrystal Pharmaceuticals and all the other stocks that I'm currently covering on this channel. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.